Well, hello, everybody. It's Clarissa. We are back in the limelight yet again this week with another extraordinary entrepreneur. He's got some really, well, we're going to talk about that. You'll see. It's really kind of one of those situations where I shouldn't, but I'm gonna, because I'll give you this little hint, only because I'm trying to go sugar-free, and that's a really hard thing for me to do. But in this case, I just might go back on a little bit of sugar, and I'll explain that when we get our guest up and on. So, okay, everybody, you know that you can find these videos over on YouTube. We've got our podcast going out on Apple, Google, Inspired News Radio, Stitcher, Spotify, and Pandora. So there's no reason or excuse not to be listening to all of our extraordinary entrepreneurs, our very, very savvy solopreneurs as well. You can listen to all these interviews, and you get a lot of really great information. Don't forget to head over to clarissaburt.com, wherein the Limelight Media lives, to take a look at the summer edition of the latest edition of the In the Limelight magazine. You saw Iris Apfel on the cover. And by the way, this lady right here, just a global fashion icon, and 98 years old, everybody, and going strong, not only, but she didn't become famous until she was 80. So the message behind my cover for the summer was, it is never too late. Well, with that having been said, I'm going to bring him on. He is the man, the myth, and the legend. He is also known as the Cannoli guy. There is Steve Delgado, everybody. He's the Cannoli guy. I lived in Italy for 30 years, Steve. I know from cannolis, okay? So
you do.
I just want to say that your company, and you're out there in Cincinnati. You're going to tell us a little bit more about that out in Ohio, in Cincinnati, right?
Actually, it's Covington, Kentucky, which is a mile south of
Right. But I want you to tell us all about that. And just one day, Delgado obviously is an Italian name. You decide, you know what? I think I'm going to open up a shop and have some cannolis. But then you have something like, I don't know if I lost count at like 280 different flavors or something.
Not quite. I have 80 flavors right now.
Oh, okay, 80. Well, I'm sure you keep working on it, because the last one we talked about pre-show was, what was it? Wasabi? Tell me what?
I do a wasabi cannoli. I do a sake cannoli and green tea matcha cannoli. I do some crazy flavors, because it's all about tasting a new tradition, which is my motto. I'm always pushing the envelope.
Oh, that is just unbelievable to me. I mean, yeah, you have the regular vanilla and chocolate chip and mint chocolate. You get all that stuff, right? But the ideas for that, let me call them concoctions, if you don't mind. These like little concoctions, it sounds more like little witches' brews going on behind the scenes over there, with all of these different wild flavors that you're coming up with. We talked about lavender. We talked about, I know you worked with some essential oils. We talked about matcha cannolis. Why is there a really big demand for that sort of thing? Are people coming to you and saying, "Hey, Steve, do me a favor, make me some matcha cannolis"?
Yes, that's what's happening. People want to see what else I can do, and I've done savory cannoli as well. I want to see how far I can push it. So I've done a crab ragoon cannoli. I've done a lox cannoli with capers. A black porcini mushroom cannoli with garlic and scallions. Yes, I mean, we can do what we want to do in these cannoli, and let's see what people like and what they don't like. Right.
So do you have a bakery background? Is that what drew you to opening up?
No, really, like when I was like 17 years old, I was a chef's apprentice like 4 years. But I always had it in my blood, because when I was 9 years old, I remember being in the kitchen with my nanny and my pop and my parents. I was in the kitchen cooking, and I loved it. And so it was always in my blood. And I love being in the kitchen. I love it. I love to cook. But then, so doing the cannoli and creating the cannoli, but also presenting it to look like you're eating a piece of art. And that's the key, the presentation, because anyone can slap cannoli cream in a shell and call it cannoli, but I wanted to create a piece of art and be able to like, okay, that is beautiful. And it tastes great.
All right, so I'm going to send up here. Look, okay, well, we're getting what I did is I took a screenshot of your website. So there you go. It's a new tradition. A taste a new tradition, which is really, I love that. That's a great byline. You're not seeing too much here, you guys. If you go over to his website, you're going to see a whole bunch more. Let's put that underneath here so we know where to find you, Steve. That's delgardos.com. And you go over there and you can order, directly from there. How are you faring during COVID? What's happening there? Are you doing deliveries? I know you're doing a lot of shipping.
Yeah, so the business is down, but people still like dessert. People still going out getting food, takeout, but they want dessert. So I'm still getting people to come in on Friday and Saturday nights, in and they get cannoli to go. Or I'm also doing boozy cannoli cream shakes. So I'm taking all my flavors that I do and make them boozy in a shake.
Boozy, I love that. We got boozy cannolis, everybody.
Yeah, boozy. I got boozy cannoli. Right. So you get your cannoli, get your drink to go, a shake, and people have a good night. And I love it.
Delgados.
Right. Gotta do whatever I gotta do to really make people feel good. And
how fun is that?
When people come in here, they feel great. I treat them like family when they come in. I talk to them. It's nice.
Right. So let's go through the entrepreneurial journey a second, because we're talking to entrepreneurs here. So you love it. You're in the kitchen. You're with nonno and nonna and mom and dad. You're doing all the fun cooking in the kitchen, and it's just such a beautiful moment anyway to be in the kitchen with family and that creation, time that you have together is just something special. I think you're creating memories every dish you make. And so you decide, okay, I'm going to take it out of the kitchen now. Or did you start in your kitchen? How did that? Walk us through that in a minute.
So I started my kitchen about 2 years ago. I was going to do an Italian espresso bar here in Covington, but there was so many coffee bars. So I went back home. I opened up my great grandfather's cookbook, and I landed on the cannoli page. And I'm thinking, okay, I see the sign. So I got in the kitchen right away and I start making cannoli. And I'm thinking, what if I do different flavors of cannoli? So for a year and a half, I test marketed my cannoli. I had to perfect my craft. I had to test the shell.
Were you selling at this point, Steve?
I was selling it to friends and family, and I was donating my cannoli to a lot of cancer foundations. So I was perfecting my craft. I had to figure out how to pipe the cannoli, what works, what doesn't work with the shells, and the shells is a big part since I can't make my own shells. Sure. The shells come from Brooklyn, New York, from a bakery there through my distributor. I use an Italian distributor, and he gets all my Italian supplies.
Right.
So I nailed down the shell, and then I start making the cream. And the cream is very important, as you know. And I had to use one of the top ricottas out there, and I use Polly-O for my chocolate chip cannoli. And I start making that, and I just love doing it. People started wow, this is great. What else can you do? I'm like, well, I can do this. I can do that. And I was experimenting, and I still experiment every week. I come up with something.
Wow. Okay. So you're moving it. Okay. So you start a really positive feedback from friends and family. And at that point you say, I think I've got a business here. I think that this is moving into what's next.
What's next is now to find a place to actually sell the cannoli. And I wanted not a big place, a small. I don't want to be a bakery. I don't want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and make a ton of cannoli. But I wanted a place where people can come and sit and get, espresso and cappuccino, which, by the way, it's Lavazza, just like in Italy.
Yeah, of course.
And also get a liquor license for wine. Right. So I want to become a dessert bar, so people can come and sit down and have a nice cannoli, a cappuccino, and be able to talk with their friends and family. Right. And so I found the space, and I took my life savings, and I risked it all. I'm like, you know what? My father told me, go after your dream, son. You beat cancer. Now's the time to do it.
Yes, I know.
But I was like, you got to risk it. So I risked it. I put all my money I had, and I created a beautiful environment. You know what? And I love it every single day.
Yeah. As you were talking, it was like sort of savor the cannoli. It's like a savor the cannoli area space that you created, as opposed to where I've seen a lot of times, you'll eat a cannoli really quickly at the bar in Italy with your coffee and off you go kind of anything, you know.
Right.
This is really cool. Let's talk about really quickly, because I know you don't mind talking about it, that you did have a bout with cancer. Something back in 2012 happened, and I'd like you to walk us through that a minute. And then I know that you have worked with different organizations, and there's a foundation. Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. About 2012, I discovered a lump while I was taking a shower, and I knew it shouldn't be in that spot near my heart. So I went to see the doctor, and I got a mammogram for the first time, which is pretty interesting for a guy to get a mammogram.
Right.
I went through all that, what women go through, and then a biopsy came back and said that it was the tumor was benign and should disappear in 6 months.
Okay.
So I waited, and like the doctor said, well, 6 months went by. I went back to see the doctor, and we had to do an emergency surgery and found out it was stage 2. It was very aggressive. And he said, Steve, I'm like, if you would have waited another month to see me, I would have told you to get your life in order. And that scared me more than having the cancer. Yeah. So I said to myself, I was like 44 years old. And I said, I can't die. I have a 8-year-old son at the time. Right. So I decided, I'm going to fight this. I'm going to do this. So I did. I beat it. I created a foundation called Protect the Pecs, went around the country and spoke about breast cancer in men and the effects and the symptoms. I did it for 5 years. And that's when my dad came to me. Okay. He said, Steve, you did what you had to do to help, the community, the cancer support community. You helped a lot of guys. You educated the public. Go after your dream now. Do something for you. And that's when the cannoli came to be. That's when that came to be.
Well, listen, congratulations on fighting the good fight and winning, because that is just extraordinary. How prevalent is it in guys, Steve?
It's the numbers was 1 in 1,000 men that would get it. Now the numbers are 1 in 833. Wow. So the numbers are not getting better; they're getting worse. Right. And it's hereditary. So if your mom and your aunt has it, right, the gene is passed from the women to the men. Not necessarily the men's going to get it, but they can actually pass that gene to their children. So you need to get tested, the BRCA testing, and that will help you determine where you're at in the cycle. Right. So all, for the gentlemen out there to be as vigilant as women are with checking and making sure not only, but you're an anomaly because there was no breast cancer in your family on either side. No, there wasn't. There's no history of cancer in my family at all, except, the typical prostate cancer type of thing. But we got heart disease, but no cancer. No cancer. All right, back to happier things. Cannolis. Back to our happy cannoli. And thanks for that. I appreciate that. Can you once again? Can you say the name of the foundation, Steve, just in case somebody? It's called Protect the Pecs. PECS. Yes. Okay. I have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. Fantastic. Okay. Awesome. And with that having been said, we get back to you now, starting up the business. And I'm assuming you didn't start with 80 different flavors. They sort of came to you, right? People suggested, you created them yourselves. And now, from one, I believe you have one shop, correct? One shop right now. What are you going to look like? What's Delgado's cannoli's going to look like in 5 years? 5 years. What I want to do is do a nationwide shipping. So everyone from California to New York can get my cannoli. Right. And then eventually I want to license the cannoli maybe in hotels or maybe franchise it so people can get my cannoli on the East Coast or the West Coast. And that's what I want to do. I want to take this. Let's see how far I can take it. That's me. I'm always looking to tackle the next mountain. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Yeah. Where else can I do? Right. So are you staying niched in cannoli? Do you think that's the way to go? Or will you branch out with the pastries? I don't want to do pastries. I just want to stick with the cannoli. Cannoli is the niche that I have, and see what we can do with it. Right. So how about, do you do diet cannolis? Everyone that comes in here always asks, do you do sugar-free cannoli? I'm like, can you do sugar-free, Steve? Do you do sugar-free? This is a diabetic shock cannoli. but I am looking into vegan cannoli cream. I've done it before, and I can do it. The trouble is I can't do vegan cannoli shells. Those are very hard to come by. I see. Like people like gluten-free shells, they're very hard to come by. They're very pricey. Yeah, and they're fragile. Aren't they more fragile? Yeah, they're fragile. They're very hard to make.
Right.
And
And they wouldn't ship well. That wouldn't ship well.
No. So I'll do the vegan cannoli cream, and I'll be able to ship that.
You can do vegan. You can do sugar-free.
Yes,
I
can do sugar-free. Yeah, I can do the sugar-free.
How about dairy-free now? Because it's ricotta.
No, it's ricotta, dairy.
Yeah, it's cool. It's all good.
No, I get those. I get those questions. I do. I get them. Like, and I got that New York attitude, and I look at them like, "What are you, crazy?"
Yeah.
Like, this is cannoli. It's cannoli.
Yeah. Well, they always want to keep your ear to the ground and listen to the customer, because the customer will tell you what they want. Right. And if you can do it good, if you can't, hey, it doesn't mean they're always right. It just means, kind of.
But I do take their challenge. I'm like, you know what? I can try it. And then I'll test it and see how it goes.
Right. All right, let's get back to the Clarissa cannoli, because I thought that was really cool.
All right. We're going to
name a cannoli after Clarissa. Okay. Do you have names for cannolis, or is it just like, do they have names or?
Yes, I have like a dreamsicle cannoli. I have a key lime margarita cannoli. Oh, I do a sweet Caroline cannoli. So that's a Nutella infused cannoli shell with banana and rum chata cannoli cream with a hint of nutmeg on the end of it.
What was now that sounds pretty crazy. It sounds great. It sounds pretty out there for a cannoli. Yeah. What was the most out there cannoli you ever made that somebody asked you to make? Like, you're going, really, dude? You want me to do, you went, all right, I'll do it.
It was a Japanese restaurant that said, want me to do a sake cannoli. So I did a plum sake cannoli with a hint of cayenne pepper on the ends of it. And people loved it. I couldn't believe it, but they loved it.
What did it taste like? Did you like it?
It was different. I don't like spicy. I mean, but I liked it. Hey, it is what it is.
All right. So now that we've gone ethnic, what about like a Mexican cannoli? What would you put in there?
I've done a churro. Yeah, I did a churro cannoli. I've done that with the cinnamon sugar on the ends of the cannoli.
Right.
I've done this recently. Okay. Last week I did a chocolate rain cannoli. Right. The chocolate rain cannoli is actually it's a chocolate cream with chocolate tequila in it. Right. And a chocolate liqueur. The shells are dipped in Belgian chocolate and cinnamon sugar with the Luxardo cherry on top.
I don't know whoever's listening here. I'm really sorry to put you through this agony. I'm totally, for all of my listeners, I just want to say I'm totally sorry that you're not in front of these cannolis while we're talking about that, because I know your mouth is watering and you're going to rush. I don't know where to, to satisfy your sweet tooth in the moment. But I don't know what, this is like nuts for me. This is like, this is like taking an alcoholic to the bar, for me. I mean, 'cause I'm a sugaraholic and always have been. So,
I do limoncello cannoli. People love, and I just created a lemon ricotta cheesecake cannoli with lemon zest on the ends.
Wow.
And I'm so it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I guess the sky's the limit when it comes to creation and invention over there at Delgado's. Right. That is so much fun.
I'm having fun doing it.
Right. Tell me where you want to be in 5 years. How about let's go where you want to be in 10 years, and then your crowning moment. And it can't be marriage and children.
No. 10 years. Actually, I want to probably sell Delgado's, live in Key West with a couple of friends, and have my own cannoli bar down there or something like that. I want to enjoy the rest of my life. Just I don't know. I might do this till I'm 80 years old. I don't know.
Right. Sounds like a plan, though.
I just love doing this. See, I work maybe 60 to 100 hours a week, but I love coming in, putting on Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and I'm making my cannoli. People are coming in, enjoying it. They're having a great night with their significant other. Right. That's success to me. Not the dollars in the bank account. Seeing someone come in here with their family and having a great night. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Yeah, and what a cool way to do it too, Steve. I mean, congratulations. It's an awesome idea. I really do wish you all the best. We didn't get to your crowning moment. The one crowning moment in life for you up until now has been?
this the cannoli business, seeing people coming in and saying, Steve, this is the best cannoli I've had in the last 30 years of my life. I've been all over the world. I'm like, this cannoli is fantastic.
This cannoli
That's what I like to hear.
This cannoli is fantastic, and I can't thank you enough for being on the show. I really appreciate your time being here with us. We're going to talk about that Clarissa cannoli, by the way. I don't know what it's going to be great for that moment, but I'd love to have a cannoli named just after me. That'd be great. Steve, thanks for being with us. All right, you be well now. Bye now.
Bye.
Stay there. Don't go anywhere. Stay there. Okay. Bye now.
Thanks for watching this episode of In the Limelight TV, intelligent media for the savvy entrepreneur. Please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel and connecting with me on social. You can listen to this interview on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. And you can also go to inthelimelightmedia.com to read our digital magazine.